and thank you so much for joining us for the SmackDown post-show for July 28th. We are swinging into August. We are swinging into the biggest event of the summer.
Kate, do I have to show you how it's done? Do I have to show you how it's done? Kate, here's how it's done. This is where you say, like, what's up, you guys?
Every time you play the video, it ruins my stream, so I was lagging behind. The video was over. Thank you, Sean. What's up, you guys? Sean Rossap here.
That sounds like Denise's impersonation of me. We're eating leather.
Listen, if Denise's sounds like that and mine sounds like that, maybe you sound like that, Sean. But either way, Sean is here to talk about some news at the top of the show. But get in your super chats and get in your humper chats. Sean's here to answer any questions you might have in those too. We've got a lot of favors to ask of you at the top of the show now. We do. And we appreciate that you do them all. But please leave a thumbs up on this video to help people find us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel as we just keep crawling closer to 100,000 subscribers. Sean's going to do a special Q&A show when we hit that milestone. And subscribe to Fightful Select because there's a whole bunch of stuff happening behind there, including some all-out news at Wembley. We've got some suspected matches that might be coming up on Fightful Select. And darn it, if the fella who isn't the juggernaut behind Fightful Select isn't here right now, more finicky with his hair than even I am on these streams sometimes.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I just went for a 3-mile hike in this 95-degree weather, so that was not fun. But
are you hydrated, sir?
It did things to my hair. Alex, Kate, great to see you. Thanks for having me on. First off, I wanted to clarify the Rey Mysterio thing. Rob Wilkins right at the top saying Sean will talk about it. So immediately afterwards, myself and actually a couple other people got word from people backstage at WWE. They're like, oh, this is a storyline. I've since heard from somebody else conflicting information. Like they're like, hey, that's wrong. Not so much. I don't feel comfortable outright saying that it is or isn't legitimate because of that conflicting information in which I got. But I can tell you there is conflicting information out there. So despite that tweet that I had earlier where I was told that it was storyline, I'm not exactly confident in that. And I'll work to find out more. But I hope it's a work, even though it'd be a dumb work. I hope it is, because I don't want Rey Mysterio to be hurt whatsoever. A guy that is hurt, Vince McMahon. So we did like abbreviated SmackDown plans tonight, and I snuck some in last week on Fightful Select, but I had them on Monday's post Raw or Mondays ahead of Monday's Raw, and that's because I heard Vince wasn't there, so I felt a little more comfortable in releasing those at that point. I confirmed today that Vince McMahon did have major spinal surgery last week, an almost 5-hour procedure. We posted an update on FightfulSelect.com today. I was told it was life-altering in many ways. As I was told that in the sense that it would be no matter what age you were, but when you're in your late 70s, that's going to change a lot for you. So as little traveling as he was already doing, don't expect him to do anywhere near as much of that. I did ask, will he still be working when he recovers? And I was told I do not have that information, which to me said
yes.
He's probably going to be in Detroit. Probably going to be something like that.
Will me in, damn it.
Exactly. We got Triple H news. He was not at WWE Raw this past Monday. I don't have a reason why, but he wasn't there. I'm working to find out a little bit more on that as well. But I don't think that's necessarily out of the norm anymore for him to just like miss an occasional Raw or so. I mean, from the time that SmackDown went on to Fox, really until the pandemic started, Vince was like never at SmackDown. He was almost never at those shows. So yeah, there's things are a little bit different than they used to be. Bruce Pritchard ran the show on Monday, but yeah, over on Fightful Select, we had updates on Jamie Hayter's injury status, a major match being discussed for All In. Had people asking a lot about Dexter Lumis of late. He just sitting at home, not doing anything. Gargano's sitting at home, not doing anything. People been asking about Liv Morgan. As best I know, it's an aggravation of a previous injury. Kevin Owens, as mentioned this past Monday, is actually hurt. I don't know if he's going to miss any like serious amount of time, but it is a legitimate injury. However, I just wanted to clarify for our audience, the information that myself, Worked Wrestling, and maybe I think another reporter got immediately was that the Ray thing was a storyline. However, I am not confident in that now. I'm not saying that it is or it isn't anymore, because I got conflicting information, and I got conflicting information from somebody that I very much trust. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we hope he's okay. I actually had texted Sean and asked because sometimes these guys are so good at working injuries that I bite. That happened with Kevin Owens, not with this real injury, but he had a really good sell spot a couple of weeks ago, I think in London, actually. So hope that he's okay, regardless of if it's real or not.
Sorry to interrupt. Kevin's very good at that. Like,
he's so good at it.
He'll do that stairs spot that I hate, where he'll get his head slammed into the stairs, his head into the corner of it. And I'm like, now come on.
Don't do that to me.
I know.
Stop being good at your job. Ricky's good at it too. Ricky Starks is like a great injury seller with that.
Yeah. And Bryan Danielson messes with our emotions. And that's why I'm glad that the AEW ban list that FightfulSelect.com reported recently was like no more seizure cells. Now, one of the things on the AEW list that I think should be allowed if they clear it is they call the fencing cells. And that's when you get knocked out and your arms go up like that. Like if Ricky Starks wanted to go to Aubrey Edwards and say, hey, this is the specific moment and the specific cell I'm going to do. So if it happens, that's where it is. I think that should be okay. But I understand them not wanting to do seizure cells or anything like that anymore. Completely get that. But yeah, a lot going on right now. FightfulSelect.com is going to have plenty of news. That Cody documentary drops Monday. I was there at the red carpet last week. We have interviews with Cody and Brandy on that red carpet. I dropped my very brief talk with Santos Escobar here on YouTube.com/Fightful. But over on Select, we're actually going to have some Chelsea Green news. We're going to have more news from that documentary around I think the morning that it drops. What we're going to do is we're going to give you guys some exclusive news about the content you'll see on that documentary, including like some of the championships that you see and some of the stories behind some of the footage that you probably didn't think that you were going to see. So there's an awful lot going on over there. Before I head off, Santos Escobar, he faced Rey Mysterio tonight. He told me like about the importance of having Rey Mysterio in there. He's like, of course I wanted to bring back the LWO. And he goes, but to bring it back and not have somebody that was actually in it would have just been pointless. He was like, there would have been no reason for me to do that. I wouldn't have had the room to do that. So I thought that was very respectful of him. And he's a very respectful guy. So
especially when he's still active. Like if he was there but not in it, that would have been. He comes across as just a very genuine, sincere person. So yeah, definitely want to see that interview. And I'm sure the closer we get to Wembley as well, the more news will be coming up on Fightful Select. We've got SummerSlam around the corner.
I'll be in Detroit.
Much going on.
Heading to Detroit next week. I'm hopeful that I assume I'll be doing media Friday morning, so I'll probably rush something to Joel for Friday and Saturday to edit and get up here on youtube.com/Fightful. A couple other things to look to. We've got the episode 300 of Listen Your Boy, August 9th. Wow. And I would love if something miraculous happens and we get to 100,000, like right around then. We're going to have a new aesthetic for our YouTube channel and stuff like that. We're always working to do more of these little mats that we have underneath here. That way we can give you guys different looks. But yeah, I thank you all so much for having me. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Sean. Drink your water, young man, after your hike.
Gonna click this intro video again real quick. Mess up your
Why?
Look at the dimensions of that field behind you. Woof. Ugh, Yankee Stadium.
How about them Reds, huh? I can't even say anything. The Yankees suck this year.
Yeah, the Reds are actually really, really good. Thanks for that, I guess. Andrew Abbott's the best pitcher in baseball. See you later.
You got stuck.
That man. He's going to turn my hair gray, I tell you what. But always happy to have him on here. I was very glad he came on to clarify the Mysterio news. So as it stands now, if you joined a little bit later, it's conflicting news. It was initially told to Sean that it was a work, but then he heard maybe not so much so fast. That doesn't surprise me too much because I think it's very possible that maybe there was a schmoz ending that was in play, like that they were going to do some sort of disqualification to protect the relationship between the two of them. So someone could very easily have thought it was a work, but then it turns out that wasn't maybe what the plan was in store. It looked real. I hope he's okay. Injuries are always awful and scary, and especially when they are near the head. That's just scary stuff. So either way, hope Rey Mysterio's all right in the long run, and he's a legend. We wish the best for him and everybody who puts their physical, mental, and emotional well-being on the line. But let's kind of get into our regular rhythm. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Another huge day here in hell, as we like to call it. I think global warming's completely over. I think we're now heading into global destruction. So I feel sorry for anyone who's gonna live past my time on here.
Wow, what a fun way to kick off the show, Alex.
I just thought that'd be a great way to start it tonight because we're all burning up in hell.
Wonderful thing to just bring us all down with, Alex. We really appreciate it.
Just kidding. I mean, listen, Smackdown was off the hook tonight. It had no remnants of the same exact thing that happened last week. Same exact spot, same exact late night intro at the same exact time slot. None of that.
Not even a little.
No.
Not even a little bit. We're going to get into all of that tonight. It's never like a great sign when I go to set up this broadcast at 20 of 8 and there are 2 things announced. That is not like a healthy sign, because the last time that type of stuff was happening was the darkest of days under the Vince era toward the end before Triple H took over. It just annoys me because I'm trying to do my job. Like literally, I'm trying to set up the broadcast and we put a description of the episode in there. Sean doesn't feel comfortable posting what he's been told because things have been changing so much on the fly. So from a creative standpoint, it isn't good. And I just want to set up the broadcast in advance, man. Like, let me do my job. But this was one of those episodes where the only thing that we had announced was Karl Anderson and Karrion Kross and that contendership match, which should be and was kind of the focal point of the show. Unfortunately, the injury, non-injury that's still being clarified did come into play, but that match was cooking before the injury. Other than that, we're going to dive into everything. Feel free to get in your super chats and humper chats to talk about whatever you want to discuss on the show. But before we dive in, I know I had so many plugs at the beginning of the show, but we do have the Great American Bash pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. Alex Pulowski and I will be on this channel, the main channel, as we are for all NXT content, doing our Sour Grabs post-show after Great American Bash. And before that, we have the wonderful Rob Wilkins in the panel that he brings in for pre-shows on Fightful Select. That'll be on at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. You can catch the pre-show. A lot of really great people involved in that. I'll put over my co-host on Wednesdays at the Mark Order podcast. Ryan usually joins that. Doc Mueller, a good friend of the show and an IT genius. He's also doing a really wonderful giveaway for the Wrestling Club. You can check out his Twitter account for that. Okay, I'm done plugging us and everybody else under the sun. We're going to dive into SmackDown. Let's start with what we open with this Jey Uso and Roman Reigns promo. I have kind of mixed feelings on it. They have incredible chemistry on the mic, like they always do. And I liked some of what we got here, especially towards the end. I really, really liked Roman Reigns kind of leaning into this idea that, like, he's always the tribal chief. So if he's standing alone, it's not that big of a deal. But, like, why does Jay think he can beat him? And Jay's delivery and timing on saying, because I already did. I pinned you already, was so perfect. He has such incredible timing with this stuff. Like, these segments tend to run pretty long. This one wasn't that bad. From a time eating on the show standpoint, especially when we didn't have a rest of the card. But Jay always kind of brings these home. A lot of other gaslighting going on here. I loved Roman in the beginning of this saying, why do you think you get called the right-hand man? Why do you think you got called main event Jey Uso? I made you those things. Jay saying he didn't want to be tribal chief. He doesn't want any of those things. He just wanted to be family and to stick in the bloodline, but that, you know, Roman made that impossible. Jay saying that Roman broke the bloodline. He broke Jimmy. Roman saying, shut up, it's your fault. And that the only reason Jimmy wasn't the right-hand man is because he was injured. Some good stuff here. It didn't necessarily move the story forward, but I don't think this particular segment was intended to or needed to, because we're kind of at the point in the story that the next thing that needs to happen is at SummerSlam. But we did need a segment like this to clarify, like, this is a one-on-one match. This is between these two guys. Kind of just emphasizing the personal, I don't want to say tension because it's so much more than that, but the personal conflict for sure, and the stakes of what has been building for the past 3 years getting driven home here. And I think a pretty effective way. Normally when these bloodline segments don't advance, I'm kind of like, oh, we're trudging in the mud. But overall, this has been pretty strong from like the MSG house show, especially up until now. And I don't think this needed to be like something major happens. I think this was just kind of a good appetizer for what's coming at SummerSlam. What did you think of our opening segment?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I didn't see it really progressing anything. It kind of felt like the same thing that we've been seeing now for the last couple weeks out of Jay and Roman. We're seeing them battle each other. We're seeing them bicker. I don't think it needs to, bookend itself at the very end of the show either. This happened before where we saw this same exact thing a couple of weeks ago, and you kind of mentioned to it. They were like, okay, he opened up the show and closed the show. Like, we waited around for these things to kind of bookend each other. So for me, I feel like less would be more for me, especially with because we see so much of it. Plus we get so much, what do you call?
Recaps.
There you go. Every single Monday. Tuesday nights you get recaps, so like I just
on the same shows we get recaps, like on the same Fridays
show. Yeah. Friday at 9 p.m. and 8:59 you get this happened when we opened up the show, so I don't know. For me, it should be less, man, especially since we're kind of now gearing down into 5th gear and seeing where this kind of just ends now.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what happens. The more Jay leans into the I never wanted this role, the more I think it might be Solo or Cody being the one to dethrone him, probably at Mania. I didn't have as much of a problem with it here tonight because this segment wasn't so long, and then bookending the show with it. Right. When it happened at MSG, I was like, it was 45 minutes, and then we're also closing the show, or it was like a half hour long, and then we're closing the show. Like, that felt like a little overkill. And this was just a regular SmackDown. The MSG ones are always supposed to feel kind of bigger. So I agree with you. I don't think this advanced a lot, but I think for the week that it was, it didn't necessarily need to.
Right,
I think we're in a cool spot. But we got some love coming in from you guys. Thank you so much for sending in your super chats and humper chats, especially ones from my friend Wags. Look at this dog. Kate is my favorite human, period. Well, thank you. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of over the bloodline stuff, Ducks.
Yeah, see.
Listen, you can be over the bloodline stuff. I get it. I certainly have been fatigued by it at a lot of points, especially when it's like, oh my gosh, did the Usos super kick somebody? And then, oh my God, did Roman and Solo respond? Like, it is a little lather, rinse, repeat in that regard, but I feel like we're getting to see the downfall part of it, so I have a little bit more patience around it. But you sound like you're on the same page as Alex, where it's kind of just like, A little bit repetitive.
Let's move it along, basically.
I get that. Andy's saying, with Hogan's record in play, it feels like Reigns wins again if Cody gets a rematch. While Cody's the second biggest star in wrestling, WWE won't crown an AEW guy. I don't know, for a lot of reasons, if that's necessarily true. I think WWE is very interested in making money, and I think WWE is very interested in setting a precedent of what it's like when you leave AEW for WWE. That's just a good competitive practice, that you would treat someone well, because you want to probably continue stealing talent from there at certain points when things are up. I think you're going to see a lot of people go back and forth between companies that maybe you wouldn't have expected before. I think that's just what the landscape is now. But I understand what you're saying. I don't know if Cody's the guy to dethrone Roman anymore, because it's starting to feel more and more to me like it might be Solo. But man, poor Cody if he doesn't get to finish his story at any point.
It's going to be him. Like,
you think it's going to be Cody?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean, listen, mark it down, make a clip, save it, put it on the intranet. Use your Netscape browsers, whatever you have. All right. the whole, and can you believe it, Kate? He mentioned it, and by he I mean Cody Rhodes.
Adversity.
For a while, I've been telling you, right, about a certain key term. Hard times, baby. And he mentioned it, and it's coming, and it's here.
I mean, they've been mentioning that Dusty's his dad for like 45 years.
We are in the hard time storyline. This is it.
I don't know. I mean,
I've been saying it, man. I
know, but my thing is, like, the only thing that we heard about was Dusty Rhodes for like 5 months before it. So that doesn't feel like
hard times for him.
It's
hard times part deux.
Oh, that's just WWE and how they book baby faces, though, as well. Like, they don't know how
he's gonna suffer, and then he's gonna win the Rumble again, and he's get his second win, and then he's gonna just wrestle me. He's gonna point at the sign and win. That's what happens.
I don't know. That sure sounds like a lot of what we thought was gonna happen this year, and didn't. But
that's the problem. We thought it was gonna happen this year. We got played by them. They knew what they were doing. They're like, let's play these fools. They did it.
I think
my booking's all over the place. I apologize.
No.
My fantasy booking's all jacked up.
No. It feels very possible, but I don't know if it feels like hard times era Dusty, because I don't feel like Cody has
suffered
all
enough.
Of the struggling has felt very manufactured, because it's the same thing that every male babyface goes through in WWE.
Right,
meaning every male babyface has to get his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar, or he has to drop his own title to Brock Lesnar. Like, that's just the way.
Maybe that's just the
crumbles a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe
that's their formula, and I don't.
Correct. Yes.
I don't fully kind of buy it, but I think it's either going to be Solo or I think it's going to be Cody. I think a fun outside play is that maybe they are setting up. I don't think they are. So this is like a very, very much a dark horse thing. If you set up The Rock and Grayson Waller at SummerSlam,
oh jeez,
and then you have Roman and Jay, and then The Rock either costs Roman, which would be extremely compelling, or he just shows up after that match and they set up for WrestleMania the year before. Because then you also don't have to have like a whole bunch of. If you set it that far up in advance, you can just have The Rock show up in very select spots to move the story forward, and then do it at Mania, because you've already made it clear that he's going to be there.
Well, The Rock has nothing to do now. He just donated a 7-figure check to SAG-AFTRA, and everyone.
Did he really?
There. And yeah, 7 figures. They won't say what it was, but he just said, if you want to thank me, that's fine, but don't make this a big thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So is this. Kate rhymes with great. Let that sink in.
That is true. That's the only reason why I decided to do the show.
That's it, because the words rhyme. You gotta go to your front door right now. Gotta unlock it.
All right, hold on.
You gotta open up the door.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a sink right there, and you gotta let that sink in. You know what I mean?
Okay, because I have an automated door.
Yeah, you got like the door, the like ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. I'm doing it right now.
All right, we will move along a little bit, but we got some more chats. We got Ricardo El Notorio, who has a different surname. So good for you for changing it up, saying 116 degrees a couple days ago. Dry heat, though. Yeesh. Dry heat is better, though. Northeast, we get a lot of humidity, and it feels like
down here too, man.
Through a wall. It is brutal. But we move along to what had a weird finish, but still very well might have been the best match of the night. I absolutely love Santos Escobar. I feel like he's someone I was singing the praises of in NXT. I loved him as a heel. I love him as a face. He's just clicking on all fronts. I think they've done a really solid job with the LWO, and that makes me very, very happy. Very unfortunate that the match got overshadowed by either the real injury, which we hope it's not, but if it was, we give our best to, or the fake injury that was done so well. I think it kind of distracts from the match, but this was a really, really good match. It felt very much LWOE. There were parts of it that gave me a little bit of, it might be my favorite match of all time, so it's tough to say, but like Ray and Eddie, I got some just like LWO chills in this a little bit, mostly when we got that spot of we have like the electric chair spot and Ray counters with that Hurricane Rana. There's in that match of Eddie and Ray at Halloween Havoc. It's like the most textbook Hurricane Rana I've ever seen in my life. It's the most beautiful Hurricane Rana you will ever see. So just little things like that gave me some nice nostalgic chills, and some really nice spots in here. We get a kick from Ray and a sunset flip into Manami roll, which was cool to see. Just like definitely expanding the toolbox of where they were pulling from in a really, really, really fun way here. Unfortunately, we do have this spot that if he was injured, this is where it happened. If he's not injured, they fooled me because I bet at it. But we have Ray trying for a baseball slide and missing and eating the mat. But what happens next is Santos heads to the ring and he lands what looked like a nice suicide dive. I don't think this was like, if it was an injury, a botch or anything. But Ray, it looks like he might have banged his head just on a suicide dive, which, man, that seems to be how a lot of these injuries happen in wrestling, which sucks. It's on moves like this, but it reminds you that even basic moves are not necessarily the safest thing in the world. It's just, you can do everything right as a wrestler and still result in injury. But my goodness, this was really, really cooking. Like, this was a really fun match. Santos Escobar, whenever he gets in the ring and is given a little time to stretch, is just poetry in motion. I really, really love watching this guy. And what more do we have to say about Rey Mysterio? Him performing at the caliber he's at the age he's at, is just ridiculous. Unbelievable stuff. This was really, really fun up until the injury. I don't know if the plan was for Santos to go over anyway. I kind of assume it was. I think you might be setting up a big win here. That would be a really fun moment at SummerSlam. Austin Theory is also watching from the skybox for some reason. Michael Cole's burying him, saying that he has no friends up there. I think Michael Cole might be a better promo than Austin Theory at this point. He is ripping into him. But what did you think of the match? And where do you see this going at SummerSlam? Do you think we get a big win out of this?
Well, first of all, you're right. They let him have time. They let him do moves that have not been seen or done periodically in WWE television. Suicide dive, like those things, like, yes, they happen, but they put some intensity behind it, and they also did some spectacular moves in ring that I feel like it was very lucha libre like something that's missing. I love that style. AEW does a great job of allowing the wrestlers to wrestle lucha libre style. So I hope WWE continues to do that as well. Do I feel that this is the end of the Austin Theory era? Yes. And they're going to build a Latin superstar. And we've been wanting this for a while. I'm sure on the show with you and I, we've spoken about it for many, many months. So I believe that this here might be our entry. And by our, I mean our Latinos, our entry into holding gold in the WWE, and perhaps setting something up where we can continue moving forward and putting more meaningful belts and fights behind our characters, our people that we have on WWE. I'm not gonna say that the Dom title reign right now is not something that I'm proud of. Like I'm not proud of, but Dom to me should have done that before he was up in the main roster. I would have been more proud of it of whatever Dom would be winning now if it was past that, right? I feel like they're going backwards a little bit with him. So okay, cool. He has the belt, but I'm rooting more for Santos.
It's the catch-22, right? Like I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of people that have felt like Dominic needed to go back to NXT, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
but not like this. Like,
Yes.
I go back and I don't go back and forth. I get a lot of comments that I usually ignore about people being like, "Oh, he's so under your skin. He's so good at his job," and I'm like, "No, he's so not good at his job that I can't suspend my disbelief to buy into the fact that he would be a competent title holder." And also, in NXT world where this happened, this got really shoehorned in creatively, and they were building out an angle that I really liked with Tyler Bate, Mustafa Ali, and Wes Lee. So even aside from him not being where I think somebody should be in the ring to hold this position, they also just shoehorned this into creative, and I liked where the previous creative was going. So it's very, very frustrating to see, and it also feels like almost a disservice to Dominic, in my opinion, because he did not look ready for that. And it's impossible to be ready for that, I think, when your matches are so short because of all the interference. And then when you're suddenly supposed to go with Wes Lee for 15 minutes, like he did not look ready for that moment. So,
and I also don't understand why he comes from a legendary persona in professional wrestling who's been freaking wrestling my entire life, basically. So what I want to know is when I slow down his matches and I rewatch things, all wrestling is not going to be perfect, but him specifically, there's a lot of hit and miss and a lot of misses with the way he works, where it kind of feels like the person he's working with is kind of saving him from a couple spots, if not a lot of them, you know?
Yeah, that was the case with the NXT match, and everybody's mileage varies on it. Like, I can't argue with like him getting a lot of views, but if you're talking about someone with staying power who's phenomenal at their job, Santos Escobar is that guy. Because I think if you had Dominic in a different angle, this stuff doesn't work. I think Santos Escobar is almost the opposite, where you can put him into anything and he makes everything work. He's phenomenal as a heel. He's phenomenal as a face. He's incredible in the ring. That he has that effortless coolness.
Yeah.
That is just like, I will never be that cool. And that's not even me being self-deprecating. That guy's just that damn cool. So, and because I watch and cover NXT, I saw Santos Escobar doing this in everything. I saw him have a mob family feud with Tony D'Angelo in that group and make everything work. I saw him having solo matches. I saw him making interference spots work. I saw him making like just banger solo matches work. So been singing his praises for a while because I've seen him be so excellent. So I really, really hope that they do put gold on him. And I think the LWO is working. So I think we might be headed in that direction. I'm optimistic about it.
Do you feel like we'll ever get to that point with Dominic where we'll kind of just put all this behind us? Or do you feel like it's just always going to be there, something in the back of our minds that we're always going to think about when it comes to him and his style of wrestling in the ring?
Trying to think of how I want to phrase this because
he's not old. He still has time, but I feel like but in the last couple of years he hasn't really like
progressed.
You know,
that's where I'm at with it. I always put it in the same framework as, and it's probably not fair because wrestling years are different. But like him and MJF are the same age, for example.
Yes, right.
So, and granted, MJF is a prodigy and has wanted to do this since forever. And but like Dominic has been doing this for a few years on the main roster level and has not, in my opinion, improved really. And so it's hard to say because I think anybody, if you put in a lot of hard work and you want to do something bad enough, I think everybody's capable of improving. Yeah. I just think that we haven't seen that improvement yet. So, and it's it's now almost counterproductive for him to get better because of the angle that he's in. So it's a little bit tricky. And I think reps are something that are underrated. I think they're really important. I think you saw that with, speaking of Hispanic wrestlers, Raquel Rodriguez looked like she was kind of having a rougher time in ring than she ever looked in NXT.
100%.
I think it was a lack of reps. And when you're in a situation where you're constantly getting booked into these like overbooked matches, you're not stretching your legs because everybody else is coming to save your ass all the time. So
correct. Yeah.
That's what always impresses me about Liv Morgan was like when she was in Riot Squad, she was in a ring for like 3 minutes, right? I mean, she was not working that much, but everybody over the pandemic said that girl put in the work and is the most improved wrestler that they had on the main roster, man or female. Sean mentioned it a couple times. He was trying to work on a feature of like most improved wrestlers during the pandemic as a thing because everybody was in lockdown. So everybody was just training and working out and whatever. But he was like, I couldn't do a full feature on it because everybody's answer that he talked to was Liv Morgan. There was like not enough variety to work on that feature. So I think it's a mixed bag. I would say from a longevity and true star potential standpoint, Santos Escobar not only outpaces Dom, but probably just about anybody. Like that dude is so much money. So good stuff with Santos Escobar. Can't say so much the same with Dom, but I really do think Santos Escobar holding the U.S. title would be a really wonderful moment. So just a reminder to get in your super chats and your humper chats and to leave a thumbs up on this video. We appreciate it, as well as your subscriptions to Fightful Select. We love it when you guys come out to support. It's the best $5 in the biz. Sean's got all the latest, greatest breaking news. We've got so much wrestling coming up this summer. We got SummerSlam. We got Payback. We got All In. We got All Out. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book that we have going on, but so much more. There's always contract news as well. Additionally, you get a ton of bonus value podcasts as well. That pre-show that I mentioned on Sunday before Great American Bash. And you'll also, usually, if Alex Pulaski and I are not on the main channel like we will be on Sunday, we do a little post-show behind there. So join us, won't you, on FightfulSelect.com?
Yeah.
Please do. But we will move into our next match with LA Knight interrupting Hit Row and defeating Ashante Adonis in a squash. This was the squashiest squash that ever squashed, but boy, howdy, would I try and get this guy in something more meaningful than a Slim Jim Battle Royal. What the hell are we doing? Like, this guy's reactions anywhere he goes, he was in the ring for like 90 seconds today and the chants were deafening. I went to Collision on Saturday and there were LA Knight chants and merch at Collision. I don't know what we aren't doing, but we get a elbow and the blunt force trauma for the win. Later we find out about the Slim Jim Battle Royal.
I don't know, man. Okay, so they got to work him into the show because they didn't have plans for him to be in the show, right? Because they write these shows out, especially these tentpole shows, they write them out months in advance. Like WrestleMania is probably already almost done, unless, there's injuries. I'm sure things are just moving back and forth, right? Like how they're going to pace the 7 nights and 14 million people that will show up to WrestleMania in Philadelphia. But for me, I think what's happening is they weren't really expecting this to happen organically the way it's happened, right? So they're going to give him his flowers. They're going to give him his millions of bells. They're going to do all that stuff. And I just think that they're going to have to now figure out ways to work him into these shows that they weren't planning for him to be on. And it's kind of dumb, right? Because it's your show and you're just making things up as you go because it's a soap opera. So
he didn't get over yesterday. He was the crowd favorite for Money in the Bank, and then they did 2 4-packs for this U.S. contendership thing. And I'm so glad for Santos Escobar, and I would love to see him win. But like, he was getting chance over Rey freaking Mysterio.
No, right, yeah, and I completely understand that, but I think whatever's happening with the upper brass. It's maybe if maybe if things were not as structured, I'm just making this up right now. I don't know if how well their backstage works, or how far along they are. They could have
Well, I
just
know
said
I didn't
F
have
it.
a rundown at 7:45 at night.
Well,
so
there's
that's not
that.
good. Yeah.
Well, he's probably just waking up from anesthesia, redoing the whole thing. Give me that.
Pretty good little bits you got.
Oh, thank you. So I have to believe, and I'm going to give them credit, that they are going to do what is right for him, for LA Knight. But I just think that they just got to get all this stuff out of the way right now.
I don't know what's right for him if the answer isn't a mid-card title or the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Really?
I don't. This guy, to me, he screams Money in the Bank winner because of his personality and what he could do taunting people with that briefcase. And if you're not going to do that, how does this guy not scream mid-card champion at you? He is so electric right now. And I just feel like anybody that he works with would just get a huge leg up. And why wouldn't you want that with a workhorse title? I just don't.
What's the Slim Jim Battle Royale? Do you get jerky? What's going on?
I said it's a glow in the dark match, and you can use jerky as a weapon. Just
that would be so cool,
right? Because it's
slap me with some jerky meat in my face.
Yeah, it'll be like red and yellow lights or something. And Macho Man's
if they don't do that, I'd be so mad. Is this the second gimmick match he's a part of?
Oh my god, that's right. No, this one's a battle royal, so my guess is
it's still a gimmick match.
It is, but
what was last year? The cereal one?
No, the
Captain
one.
Crunch. That was he was in that one, but I mean, there was a second battle royale. I think it was the Captain Crunch one, or the Cinnamon Toast Crunch battle royale.
Oh my god, that's right. Somebody
and now they're doing
Kross or someone came out.
Yeah, and now they're doing it's getting out of hand, people.
Well, here's the thing. I think they make a lot of money off of it. I'm guessing with a battle royal, it might just be almost like how our Fightful frame is, probably in Slim Jim branding. Because I don't even know what you do with the battle royal unless there's gonna be someone gets called up from NXT. He's a real beanpole and he's Slim Jim and he's entering the match, which I would not put past them. Sadly.
I don't know, man. What title is this for? Is this for a title? Are they going to give him a chance? I kind of was halfway listening. Okay. Just making sure, because I know I was kind of setting things up for the show, and then when I heard them talk about putting him in this jerky match, I'm like, cool. Did I miss them saying that it was for a title, for a chance to go for intercontinental title, maybe whatever? But from what you're telling me,
I don't believe they did, because he, in this quick promo that we get backstage, says, hey, if you want to make this battle royal mean something, you need LA Knight in it, which to me says we didn't establish what the stakes are yet, because he's saying if you want to make it mean something. If it was for a contendership, it would already mean something. But we do have the Brawling Brutes coming in here, and Sheamus and him are going to have a match next week, which that I'm very excited about. That I think is going to be wonderful. I am looking forward to that. Yeah. We've got some super chats and humper chats coming in. Thank you so much for these. We always appreciate the support. Orion Ben saying that it's official. Top Dollar hasn't attacked Cole. No cred. He has no street cred, man. It's sad. I will say, I know there's people that have to eat pins and that's their job on the main roster. And I know Swerve isn't with Hit Row anymore, but Hit Row was really cool once, and I would like for them to do something more than have them job all the time.
Ashanti, that's his name?
Ashanti is
Ashanti,
good.
right?
And Top
they really trying to push a little Swerve in him. He kind of had a little demeanor of a Swerve, and the cadence, the way he was talking.
He kind of felt more in that archetype than Top Dollar did. But they just keep having them lose in 3 minutes. And I'm like, they were really overstable at one
I haven't seen Top Dollar win a match since that rap battle they had.
I don't even know if he won that. Did he win that?
He didn't. Battle? That's what I'm saying. That's how long this is. I haven't seen him.
Since he's been back. But Wags asks a very good question. Why do they hate pushing over people? It'd be like Fightful not pushing Kate.
I don't think they hate it.
Could you imagine if Fightful had me and they weren't running me out here every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and sometimes on weekends? My God. I am pushed here. I am a workhorse champion here at Fightful.
You really are. If I can make a Fightful Intercontinental International Championship, I would put it on you.
You know what? There is a Fightful belt, and Joel Pearl is too much of a... Oh, wait, we're reviewing WWE, right? He's too much of a little bitch to put it on the line. Even when I go to Toronto, even when I set foot in his apartment, Joel Pearl wouldn't put his Fightful title on the line because he's a coward.
Wow. I want to fight him on AEW Fight Forever and just see if I can win it off of him.
I want to fight him, period.
I like violence, but, you know.
Yeah, throw down fisticuffs with me, Joel.
Golly.
On a much nicer note, we've got Kylie, who's always just the best presence in here, saying, hi, hope y'all are well. I hope you are well, too, and looking forward to the weekend and staying cool, because you're so cool. But it's hot out. Stay hydrated. We love you.
Super hydrated.
Ryan Cicchini, I think is how it's pronounced, saying excited for Sheamus in LA. I am very excited for that as well. I think that is a good spot for LA Knight to be in if he's not going to be in the places that are extremely obvious for him to be in. This is a good one, I guess. There's some more chats that are coming in that we will also get to, but we are going to... Luis, you don't have to pay to send in super chats. You're in charge of the document that has them listed. But because he's the GOAT moderator, he says, I would not hate if LA challenges for a world belt. I would love for him to be in something with stakes in it. It feels like all he's done really well is his entire job, and that they continue to not do anything with him. I don't know. It almost feels Eddie Kingston-ish, where it's like, they think he's so over, it doesn't really matter if he wins or loses kind of thing, because he can get you invested in anything. But I don't know. Cher Delaware saying Hit Row was really cool on the timeline. Hit Row was really cool. I think more in NXT, I don't think we've gotten to see them be really cool on the main roster in a very long time, but it felt very authentic. And it didn't feel gimmicky. It felt charactery in NXT, and now everything feels very gimmicky. So.
I don't know. Poor guy. Just let him be. We'll see him next year. He's going to win a belt, and everybody will be like, yay, and then he'll get boring, and people will be like, all right, what's next? Because that's just the way that's the ebbs flows of WWE. That's it. Like, you know?
Well, we haven't had anybody win a title in a while, actually. Austin Theory's had a long reign. Gunther's had a long reign. Yeah. Roman has actually had a long reign. I don't know if you're aware, but he's had the belt for a while. So,
well, I think that they look at, they probably saw what AEW was doing. You know, they want to outdo everyone. So they probably said, we got to have everyone here. Hold us except for the women's titles.
We're going to talk about the women's matches because, Lord Almighty, I've got some complaints, but we'll switch into that right now, actually. I
feel like every week we have complaints about this damn
About the women's segments? Yeah, because they've been bad. Like, I don't know. I'll say this. The women's title picture has not been good.
No.
The caliber of wrestlers are incredible.
Yes.
They always are. We have Charlotte, who said toodles in the segment. So thanks to the people in the chat who recognize that I do a great Tiffany Stratton impression. I appreciate you. We have Charlotte and Bianca defeating your tag champions, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville.
Your tag champions.
Your tag champions. Now, they've held them for more than a week, which makes them like the longest reigning champions of all time. But I just don't understand why we pin champions on our television when we really, really don't have to. We have Charlotte tagging in on Bianca as she's going for the KOD, but Charlotte lands the boot. We get some arguing, and this ending is a big old mess to a match that was fine. There were some disjointed spots in it here. Sonya she took a spine buster that did not look good. This felt off. I don't know why you're going out of your way to make tag teams look like chumps. Like, I don't understand why we're pinning newly crowned champions here. Charlotte and Bianca are about as protected as anybody gets, but I just don't get it. And I also don't understand why the babyface is doing this. Charlotte's been face this whole time. If she's turning heel, God love her. She should, because she does not click in as a face. But faces don't do this. She was about to cost Bianca the match of the side that she's on. Like, that is heel behavior. So I did not like the ending to the match. The match itself was okay. I'm glad to see our tag champions. I guess they weren't defending, but it's nice to see them getting TV time. I'm hoping that they're holding the belts for a little bit here. I don't like them losing. But if you're going to lose, there's kind of nobody more protected than these two. The biggest complaint I have is, why does Asuka feel like the 5th most important woman on the women's roster? We'll talk about the next segment and where that comes into play. But I felt like the match itself was fine, but I felt like the ending was very muddy. What were your thoughts on this?
I don't understand anymore what's happening. And you have all these wonderful women that you can just create fake tag teams with to go up against the tag team champs, as a second match on the show for the women. Instead, we just kind of put a makeshift team again together with, Bianca and Charlotte, because Charlotte has to be around the title at all times. Any type of title that any woman is holding, she needs to be around it.
And it's a good old can they coexist story. Like, we just can't get away from it.
And it's it's the old, it's Friday night, can they coexist story. Let's put it together, because we do this twice a month. And I don't know. I just don't know. We have a lot of star power with the women, and it just seems like it's all lazy, or it's just not really clicking, or they're just redoing the same thing that they've done with just different players in the same story. So I don't know. I'm a little lost, to be completely honest, with what they're doing there. And same thing with Asuka. Again, she's the 5th wheel in anything that has to do with women. She's our champion. She should be up front and center. Again, maybe it's the language barrier thing, and I've said this a lot on this show. I think I mentioned it a little bit with Joel last week, because you left us. Yeah. I think it's. I'm chalking it up to that.
That would be a little bit more viable if Io Sky didn't also technically have a language barrier here, but we will talk about our next segment here with Bailey, who I love in this. She's cackling backstage at the fact that they can't get along, which I love from her. We have Io with her Money in the Bank briefcase. Io says,
"Uh-oh. We lost you, Kate. We can't hear you. Or is it just me? Everyone in the chat, can you hear Kate as she's talking? Because I can't hear her. She sounded robotic and disappeared. Well, I mean, I can still see her, but I don't hear her. I think your internet crapped out for a second, because you're moving and everything. Can you get... Yes, says Kate, you are muted. Okay, cool. So it wasn't just me. Kate's muted, everybody. Oh, no. You want to leave and come back in? I'll hold it down for us if you need. Oh, wait. There we go.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I like what we're getting here, because I want to see Io and Asuka, and I think that means we're going to get a retention from Asuka so that we can set that up. I think that... So I think I was muted. I'll run kind of down the segment again. Pretty simple. We get Bailey cackling backstage at the fact that they can't get along, which is kind of fun, because we have the handwriting on the wall that they're probably going to split at some point. But Io says she respects Asuka. She doesn't care who wins at SummerSlam, because she's the one leaving champion. Asuka gets a fun jump scare on Bailey as they walk past her. So that's kind of what we get there. I'm glad Asuka was at least booked for the damn show. But I really, really hate how secondary it feels. But
it's been secondary. It sucks, man.
Since the second Charlotte walked back, it has felt very secondary, unfortunately. And what's frustrating about that is, and maybe they'll correct it, because they really could at SummerSlam, But like, I would love for them to have non-title women's feuds, and one that involves Charlotte in a non-title program would be really refreshing. Like, I would love to see that. I've just never seen it before because Charlotte's always sniffing around a title. So it would be really cool if Bianca cost Charlotte and they were chasing each other for a while outside of the title picture. But for God's sake, let Asuka and Io then have a feud because Lord knows I want to see it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I really wish this was a priority. I think my frustrations are also compounded by the fact that Rhea Ripley is main eventing NXT with Lyra Valkyria, but not fighting on the main roster at all, and kind of also feels secondary to the rest of what's going on in Judgment Day. So it just feels like both women's champions are a little bit lost in the shuffle. And then on top of that, you go and you have your tag team champions pinned. Like, there's not a lot going on in the women's title pictures right now that feels super important. But we do have Becky and Trish and stuff. So there's some good stuff happening.
You know what's crazy? Riho obviously suffered from that too in AEW. But she was front and center. She fought a lot. If you remember, she was put up in a lot of matches. So the way to combat the not being able to speak, properly sometimes, because I've been here many years in this country and I still don't speak properly. My Hispanic side will always kick out at 2, So I don't know why you wouldn't just say, hey, Asuka, just go out there and kill everyone. You know what I'm saying?
That's the other thing. Like, well, maybe play to her strength, which is being one of the best women's wrestlers in the whole damn world.
Make her the brand new Japanese Buzzsaw. Remember Tajiri?
Yeah.
Like, make her come out and just like give her that moniker. Like
we're there with like her cool mask and her entrance. Like, the presentation was clicking, and then
that's where it ended.
Man, oh man, did they
right around the sale plot. And someone coming back as a chairman. And I'm not talking about Sean
it feels
Spears.
like I love Sean Spears. It's just weird because it feels like they finally gave her the title and then they decided to throw this off a cliff, which is not awesome. But we move along. The only thing I have to say
you sounded so sad. I'm sorry.
I am. I just love Asuka so much. But we do have a couple of chats. We got one LT photo saying, here's the bag for having to watch a dumpster fire of a show. Toodles. Thank you to everybody acknowledging that Charlotte said Toodles. True Infamous saying, well, I guess Kate can't say Toodles anymore because Charlotte stole it. I will say my Tiffany Stratton Toodles until the cows come home, okay? Vicky L also jumping in on this saying, hi, Kate and Alexis. Toodles battle, Tiff versus Char. I got a shocking upset for you. I'm the one that wins it. How about that? Okay? But
you said when until the cows come home, you said.
Yeah, till the cows come home.
I live next to a farm. I see the cows coming home every.
Oh no, guy! I watched Forks Over Knives, and now I can't ever eat another burger again.
What
I think.
The hell is that? Oh God! Don't
it's
tell
a
me.
documentary about.
Oh God!
Like,
I'm going to be eating a juicy cheeseburger while I'm watching it.
I was like, oh, somebody recommended it to me, and I'm just like, I can't eat anything animal ever again, I think, in my life. But,
oh my God, I know.
Well, Coy Stallings chiming in with some happy, positive women's wrestling news. Tony versus Shida next week on Dynamite. I'm excited, maybe at main event. I'm just excited that match is happening. I feel like Shida has only done great work for a really, really, really long time. And she's someone who works hard to continue to get better constantly. Like, I had a huge complaint with AEW about, like, where the hell did she go after she had the most successul women's title reign in history?
Yeah.
It was because she went away to work on her character and, like, trying to match the American style of wrestling a little bit more and like, those facets of wrestling. And I was like, man, she just had the most successful women's title reign in all of AEW. And she's like, still the thing she immediately wants to do after she loses the title is to continue to improve. Like, that says something, I think, about her work ethic. And for all the kind of like all the locker room drama that was coming out last year, her name was nowhere near any of that. You know, it's stuff like that I love to see. So Tony versus Shida, Gonna be a banger. I'm very, very excited about that. I hope it main events too. I'll keep my expectations in check based on the way that division tends to get booked, but I am pumped about that. Let's get my women's division on track. And speaking of more positive momentum things, Bobby Lashley got a rack of suits for the Street Profits, who were like, don't you like our sweatpants? And he was like, listen, I do. I respect the sweatpants. They look great. But I got something else in mind. And he rolls out these 6 suits. And I would like to say, Bobby Lashley, I would like one of those suits. I think suits are a very versatile wardrobe staple. And ladies look great in them. I would need to get them tailored. Like, I'm not going to be able to wear the same things as Montez Ford or D'Angelo Dawkins for that matter. But if you're just giving people suits, I'll take some, Bobby. That's all. I'm not trying to be in the hurt business. I am very much for the culture, but not in the culture. And it feels like an in the culture staple, right? But I'll take some. If you're giving out free suits, I'll take some suits, man.
I'm Puerto Rican, Bobby. Put me in.
I like this. I love Shelton Benjamin and I love Cedric Alexander. So them getting railroaded out of this is not something I want. I would like them also included alongside the Street Profits could be something really fun. Or in a feud with the Street Profits if they showed up and were like, hey, what the hell, man?
Maybe they make their Hurt Business Volume 3 and they fight Volume 2.
I'll take it, but they deserve to be on my screen. They're phenomenal. The Give Kate a Suit movement has started. Kate's Warehouse.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you. Just give me a suit. You know? That's all I'm saying.
The damn suit, people.
Bobby, Robert, please. Oh
boy.
Karrion Kross and Karl Anderson. We get a promo before this match where Karl Anderson goes, I don't want you at ringside. It's personal. And I was like, is it personal between you and the guy who, like, the tarot card man? Like, I don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
What is so personal about this? And it definitely, if it is personal, it feels like it's more personal with AJ Styles, not you. But we get this match, and this is also incredibly squashy as well. We get it was a better looking in-ring performance from Kross that I think we've seen, which is encouraging to see, but very, very short. We got a pump handle into an F5, which I think they called it the final prayer. And then that gets the pin. And AJ Styles runs down after Kross kind of won't let him go. And I just don't understand why it's continuing, because I don't really fully understand why it started outside of like a tarot card.
That man feels lost, and by that man, this could go both ways right now, because I've been speaking about Karrion Kross just being this freaking enigma that just floats around like that little floating thing in your eye when you're staring at the distance for too long. That's what Karrion Kross feels to me. Like he's just not doing anything of importance at all. And then, unfortunately for me, I understand AJ has been out with an injury before, right? But he has felt so flat to me. He hasn't
done anything but this since he got back.
I don't feel any like happiness or joy or yay, it's AJ Styles on my TV. I don't feel none of that.
Like, my thing is, it's AJ freaking Styles. Like, this is not just like a mid-card dude. This is AJ Styles, and he literally has been in this angle. He fought Seth and lost, and this is all he's been doing since, like, I don't know.
He's to me, he's 100. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Franklin. Go ahead.
No, it's just it's more people saying that I deserve a suit.
He's just felt so. I don't feel anything. You know, there's wrestlers that I'll see on TV. Hey, and I'll be like, cool, I get to see him today. You know, it's cool to see him. Unfortunately for me, he's just there. Like, cool.
There just hasn't been really a story. Like, the phenomenal forearm victory at Madison Square Garden was weird, and I guess he attacked Karl Anderson backstage, but I don't know.
But it's still it's just flat. It's like super flat. It's like cool. You're just I don't know.
It's
Maybe
flat like my current wardrobe, which is why Bobby Lashley should give me a suit.
I feel like if they would have probably thought about, and I've thought about this, he would have been one of those that would have been, his career would have started all over again, like been hyped up if he would have jumped ship somewhere else, no matter where, right? Like just to me in my head, he's AJ Styles. He's such a presence,
Yeah, he's like a Mount Rushmore caliber wrestler. So
yeah.
So this is continuing, which is happening. We move to the main event. Other Alex says he's been shadow banned from the show for being too silly. This aggression will not stand.
No.
This was not necessarily my call. I'm just the messenger, and I don't want to die. So please don't kill me.
I'm gonna drink water and stay hydrated.
Please do. It's like 1,000,000 degrees out. Move along to the main event. We had some bloodline shenanigans earlier that we kind of covered, but we got a couple of backstages here as well where Grayson Waller says he wants Jay on the Grayson Waller effect and the Jason Waller effect. The Grayson Waller effect and Jay Uso.
You should hydrate, Kate.
I should hydrate. And I should sleep at some point. But we get to see Jay absolutely clock Grayson Waller. Adam Pearce sets up a match between the two of them because he was like, I'll teach him a lesson in the ring. I have no problem doing that. Sounds good to me, which was fun. So
that slap was so good, by the way.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh my God, as he's laughing, I'm like,
on it. Yeah.
And he's like, wow. And friggin' he just goes flying. I was like, yes, that was good. I'm back in the show.
And the match was pretty good. The thing is, Grayson Waller loses all the time. And he keeps fighting legends. So they've got to pay it off in some way. Or like, why are you calling out The Rock if you keep losing all the time? You're just a big loser who loses. But his in-ring has looked very good outside of his extremely silly finisher where he has to leave the ring to do it. But this match was mostly good. It had one really cringe spot in it, though, and we have to talk about it. It didn't go in the full direction that I thought it was going in, which made me very nervous, but Jey Uso's in control of this match early, right? And then, like, the radio edit of Roman Reigns' entrance.
Yeah.
And he comes out with Solo Sikoa. Who could have seen this coming other than everyone? And Jey Uso is way too smart to get distracted. Now, this was not a roll-up win, which I was very nervous was coming. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, Grayson Waller is going to get his first win off of this, like, cheap thing, which honestly for him could have been kind of like good heat, but I did not want Jey Uso to look that dumb in the process, so I was glad that didn't happen. But I complained about how long Roman's entrances are. I don't know if I can do that anymore hearing the abbreviated version because it sounded so weird.
Yeah, it did. It started, it cut off, and it like picked up in the middle.
Picked up at the hook. It was very, very
I was
weird.
like, I looked at the TV because I'm like, did my internet just skip? Like, did I just buffer and come back at a different point? And I started looking at my watch. I'm like, oh my God, am I late for the show? Like, what's going on? And it was exactly that. It was whatever. They tried.
They did. And it was the only thing in the match that I didn't like. Like, I felt like a lot of it was really good. Other than Grayson Waller does a lot of things really well in the ring. And he has a lot of great moves that could serve as finishers. So the rolling thing, like I have to leave the ring to get back in the ring to finish the match thing is just not, it just doesn't work for me.
But it's wrestling, right?
Right. But like, I like techers and dancers. So I like when things look very logical and like you're trying to win a match all the time. And I also like when people dance, i.e. Daniel Garcia and Prince Nana. But this ends with Jay missing a hip attack and Waller trying to the rolling starter that I just talked about, but he runs into a super kick from Jay. That is great. Everybody should super kick this guy when he tries to go for a rolling stunner moving forward is the problem. Like, I can't unsee that now that I've seen someone counter it in that way, right? So I have the same complaints about the lethal injection with Jay Lethal. I'm like, doing a handspring slows you down and makes it less effective of a move.
Correct. Right.
Why are we doing this kind of thing? And then when Ricky Starks hits a Rochambeau on it, I feel like everybody should have this move scouted for the rest of my life. So just little things like that. But this match was really, really strong. Otherwise, love this. Jay staring at Roman and calling for the spear and hitting it. And Roman looking pissed. And he goes to climb the ropes. Jay hits the splash for the win here. Really, really loved that. And then we get our post-match shenanigan beatdowns. That's the part that feels a little lather, rinse, repeaty to me, like we were saying at the beginning of the show. But I kind of have just accepted that that's how things are going to go. Yeah. I don't like them opening and closing the show, but man, it's effective for their ratings. So I've accepted that they're going to do it as well. But I really liked a lot of what happened in this match. The mutual beatdown stuff is kind of interesting because I think Roman retains at SummerSlam, but because Roman and Solo came out on top here, even though it felt like Jay did initially, that was a nice little psychology play. Like I kind of dug the response that we were getting. So sure. It's interesting to, I'm pretty sure Roman retains, but it's just nice to have a seed of doubt. Like we don't always get those. So I really liked a lot of what happened to the main event, just that radio edit and Jay being surprised that they came out there just felt inorganic to what we were watching a little bit, but good other than that. What did you think of our main event tonight?
Yeah, like you said, a little, like, actually we both said just now, we repeated, it's a little bit of the rinse and repeat style that they've been kind of really pushing on us for a bit here with the later end of the bloodline and what's kind of happening with I guess the ending, right? I mean, this is what we're looking forward to. I do say this. The whole premise of this is that you got to make Jay very important. Like you got to make him feel, main event Jay, all this stuff. Like, they're really pouring a lot of this onto him. And
that's Roman. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's the first guy to pin Roman in 3 years. So
and they gotta continue pushing this narrative and this rock uphill, because we all know, I'm sorry to say this, but Romano Reigns is gonna destroy him. People are gonna cry at the stadium and it's gonna be crazy and they're gonna try to rush the ring, but this is it. And I apologize to everyone who thought that Jay might be world champion, but they're not going to do that. I'm sorry, they're not.
I thought they might have, but when he pinned Roman, I was like, nah, that's going to be the thing that he gets out of this.
And one thing I learned in professional wrestling in these last 30 plus years that I've been watching it, 20 plus years, I just thought I was here for 80 years now. Is that they always will push the baby face and make him or her look insanely big right before they boom break them back down.
I think with this story, I feel like the story of them being on an equal playing field is really good. Like I feel like it doesn't feel so to make Jay. Like Sammy felt like the underdog, and Cody felt like kind of like an I'm at my match situation, and Jay feels like the guy who knows every fabric, like every fiber of Roman Reigns' being, because it's so I like the differentiation in some of the like big time baby faces we got. I don't love all of them getting slaughtered, but I like that piece of it, and I also like just by the nature of it. Because the bloodline is splintered, it's not going to be the same type of match because it can't be. Like you can have Solo interfere on people's behalves or whatever, but like this is not going to be the bloodline interfering on the match because it's against each other. So it can't be, which is really, really refreshing. And I like that they've had Jimmy go away for this.
Yes.
I think it's really going to feel like such a different type of match for Roman, which I think he needs desperately. So I'm very much looking forward to that piece of it for sure. I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. Let's go.
It's the ending, it's the biggest party of the summer, and we turn over a new leaf and off to fall we go.
We've got a couple of super chats to round us out. Thank you so much for your support tonight. Arza saying, what does a pump handle add to an F5? Just let him do Made in Japan or something. I don't know. The pump handle spot I feel like is kind of fun. It's more, to me, it's an impact move before you set up the big move. So I'm okay with that because it's like a magnifying glass over it. I will take it. So like of all the things that I feel like they need to go back to the drawing board with on Karrion Kross, that's not at the top of them.
Right, yeah.
And our wonderful moderator, Louise, points out that LA Knight is just out here pulling out burning hammers like it's nobody's business. So what are you going to do? But we also have the wonderful Chris Bueller saying, here's some money. Kate can make an IT joke if she plugs my fundraiser. I did plug your fundraiser. Also, Uso slapping Waller was hilarious. LA Knight is great, and so are you two. Well, thank you, Dr. Mueller. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. Catch him, I'm assuming, on the Fightful Select pre-show to Great American Bash. He'll be joining Rob and the rest of the wonderful panel that tends to show up for those things. Maybe I'll make an appearance. I don't know. I've got a lot going on this weekend, but we're going to try and make it. You can catch me and Alex on the Great American Bash. Not this Alex, sorry. The Alex that is shadow banned from the show. Well,
shadow banned Alex is his name.
You know, slightly more normal shows where we're trying to land sponsors, you know, things like that. So speaking of sponsors, feel free to email me at kate@fightful.com if you want to get sponsorship rates and are interested in sponsoring any of our bazillion shows here on the Fightful Podcast Network. Alex, you've got some fun stuff going on.
I got a lot of fun stuff going on. First of all, first off, I got this the Beacon company sent me a really cool mic and mixer and stuff like that. You know, I'm putting together a nice unboxing video for what they sent me. Might be a good fit for us here at Fightful, since you know I'm gonna see what we can do for us here. You know, I might contribute something other than my dumb booking, but
you have great booking.
Oh, thank you.
You think it's dumb?
Well, I don't know, because I'm dumb. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me. You can find me on the X, because it's no longer the Twitter bird. You can find me on the X at _ Alex Cardoza. Always working on different stuff. I have a brand new project that I'm working on. Kate knows all about it. Soon enough, I'll let you guys know. I don't like speaking things into existence until I've fully covered all my bases. So once it's put together, it's going to be a really fun show that you guys will hopefully enjoy, because I'm a freak about the subject matter that I will be talking about. Find me or find my shows that I work on, like Wrestling with Freddie every single Wednesday and Thursday. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up on there as well. And as always, I'm here with the lovely Kate every Friday, guys. And find me on Instagram at Alexis Cardoza. You know, just say what's up, send me a DM, slide up in there. I'll show you a clavicle. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm out here showing some shoulders today.
You are
a million degrees,
ma'am. Can I tell you something? I hope you put that. This is definitely not for kids on the YouTube channel, because
Smackdown after dark.
You've been doing a lot of nude shoulders, and I don't know if I can handle this.
It's what got me in trouble in the first place.
God.
There was an episode where I was just wearing a shirt like this, and people were like just going crazy about the fact that my shoulders were out. Like,
you're a woman and you're hot, and you're both in the sense of like hot, like hell yeah, and hot like it's hot outside, and people are complaining. God,
I know.
People are weird.
People are weird. Thank you, Alex. Hey, you can catch me all over the freaking place. You can catch me on Fightful Select every Monday on the main channel, on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for NXT Ring of Honor, and right here on the SmackDown Review Show every week. Wednesdays at the Mark Order Podcast, and Sundays on Fightful Overbooked with Joel. Not this week, though, because we got the Great American Bash post show. So we are going to skip this week in lieu of there being a pay-per-view on. So there you go. I will also be at X-Site Commentary. Stay tuned for those details as well. So much going on here at Fightful. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a thumbs up on this video if you didn't already. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. Hope to see you Sunday for the Great American Bash.
Drink water.
Drink a lot of water. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Stay classy.